the fourth prestigious King of the Ring, Stone Cold Steve Austin, an incredible victory.
The first thing I want to be done is to get that piece of crap out of my ring. Don't just get him out of the ring, get him out of the WWF. Because I've proved, son, without a shadow of a doubt, you ain't got what it takes anymore. You sit there and you thump your Bible and you say your prayers, and it didn't get you anywhere. Talk about your Psalms, talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass.
Come on, that's not necessary.
All he's got to do is go buy him a cheap bottle of Thunderbird and try to dig back some of that courage he had in his prime. As the King of the Ring, I'm serving notice to every one of the WWF superstars. I don't give a damn what they are. They're all on the list, and that's Stone Cold's list, and I'm fixing to start running through all of them. As far as this championship match is considered, son, I don't give a damn if it's Davey Boy Smith or Shawn Michaels. Steve Austin's time has come. And when I get the shot, you're looking at the next WWF champion. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 1 of this month in wrestling history. I am your host. I am Mike Bernier. I am joined by my co-host, Earnest DJ Christian.
Hey.
Say hello, Ernest.
Oh, you want to do now?
And,
what's up?
And my wrestling boyfriend, husband, whatever you want to call him, at the real Joseph Lopez. Joe, say what's up.
What's up? That's the gayest our relationship has ever been explained, and I'm okay with that.
Joe, you have a Twitter?
Huh?
What? You have a Twitter, Joe? You have a Twitter?
No. I avoid Twitter like it is factually the plague.
Oh my God.
I am trying to get him to create a Twitter handle at the real Joe Lopez for the last 4 years, but he won't do it.
Yeah.
For the record, I actually have 2 Twitters. I just don't use either one of them, so, don't follow me. It'll just be pointless for you.
Do you have the little egg as your picture, or do you actually have a photo?
I have a photo on one of them, and it's me cheering with that, which, if you know me, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's normal.
I
That's
think
normal.
that's the second one. I honestly, it's been so long.
What color's your egg?
Blue.
It's been long for me to recall.
All right. So now that you get a little bit of the banter between the three of us,
There you go.
This show is basically going to be 3 wrestling fans, some from the old school, Ernest. Also, myself and Joe enjoy the old school, but we also watch the current day product. Not as much Ernest, but we're going to go back and we're going to talk about some main shows over the months. And for episode 1, we thought, what better of an episode to discuss than the King of the Ring 1996. There's some things that led to this changing. There's some things that came out of this that became the biggest parts of wrestling history, which we'll get into. But first off, let's backtrack into the situation of In Your House 8, Beware of Dog. This was the pay-per-view prior to King of the Ring, kind of the start of the build to King of the Ring. Now, I don't watch a lot of the In Your Houses. I haven't watched a lot of them, except for whenever I watch them live, of course. But this one is interesting because the power went out in South Carolina, where they were at. It's kind of hilarious that they had to film the show on 2 different days to avoid having to give out so many refunds that, their heads were going to spin.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at this, the May 26th card that was the original air date, it got the Mark Marrow, Hunter Hearst Helmsley match, which Mark Marrow won. And then the next match that really showed was the Shawn Michaels versus British Bulldog match. That match ended in a no contest. And then 2 days later on a Tuesday, they did a special, I guess, not a re-air, but they re-aired those 2 matches. And then they did a taping of 3 matches that were on the card that for some reason, they chose these 3 matches rather than just doing the whole card over again. The original May 26th results saw in the free-for-all the Smoking Guns defeat the Godwins, Henry O. and Phineas I. Godwin, Hog and Pig. Yes, Hog and Pig.
Mm-hmm.
To win the WWF tag titles. In the process, Sunny jumps from managing the Godwins to the Smoking Guns because, it's what Sunny does. She jumps around.
Yes, she does. Sunny days. Yeah.
I think she still does.
Have you? Okay, just let's off the page quick. Have you guys ever seen the porn of Sunny? The porn that came out a couple years ago.
I did not.
Okay.
Joe.
No, I have not.
I actually watched
Oh, yeah.
it. I actually saw it about a couple weeks ago, actually, only because I found out about it randomly. Like, oh, really? So obviously I checked some of the sites, and I was like, oh, okay. Wow, how old is she now?
Probably like what, late 40s?
Mid 40s, yeah.
She's like
I said-
75 drug years.
Oh yeah, she's definitely 75 in drug years. She's 46.
She's definitely lived a lot of life. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, Tammy Lynn Sitch.
In a what was supposed to be a dark match that only the fans saw, but every match was in the dark. Bob Holly defeated Ozzy Gang from DDS, the guy who would soon become Kane. Gotta be Kane.
Kane. It's gotta be Kane. A year away. And it's only a year away from this happens, too. Like, well over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
The match that the fans actually got to see, Mark Mero defeated Hunter Hearst Helmsley, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
A match that a lot of people thought got credit for the start of the Stone Cold era, the Savio Vega versus Stone Cold strap match.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that the first time they did it was great. The second time was even better. It just seems to me that a lot of people discredited Savio Vega. But he was like that jobber or like middle guy that if you needed someone to get over, your Ahmed Johnsons, your Stone Colds, your Bradshaws, or whoever it is, put him in the ring with Savio Vega. He'll get a 4-star match out of him.
Yeah, I like some Savio's matches, especially there's actually a lot of underrated matches he did in '97 also too, when he was with the Nation, and then even when he left the Nation with the Boricua, angle. He definitely more underrated. He's kind of like modern day Coco Beware, put it that way.
Joe, anything to add on Savio Vega?
No, the funny thing is, I watched like only WWF pretty much when I was a kid. I mean, if you count, I guess like a preteen, whatever year this was. But like, I don't remember much about Savio Vega other than the fact that he was there. And rewatching stuff now, like rewatching stuff from like '97 and stuff, it's not like those were his banner years. Like he probably was working a little bit harder, a couple years earlier, like 96, 95. So, my current opinion on Savio Vega is still, he was there. Like, he was totally there. So,
I mean, he never really got a push. He never really got a push, but he was definitely noticeable during the Nation years. When the Nation were doing their thing, and in early '97, mid '97, he was definitely involved in all the angles. And then they even pushed the whole click angle with with DOA and the Nation, and of course his click, the Boricuas. So they did try to make him a lot more, make him bigger than he was at the time.
I think
Absolutely.
Part of the problem is, at least in rewatching stuff now, like I said, like I recently rewatched like all of '97.
I'm actually all that right now too. Yeah,
it's so much fun. Like, and I recommend everyone do that if you have the time and the network, because like it's just fun.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, like, when they broke him off into Los Boricuas, it was literally it's Savio Vega and his backup Latinos. Like, they are the least descript wrestlers that have almost ever existed. Like, there are jobbers that have, like, better gimmicks.
They didn't give those. Yeah. They didn't give those guys any kind of backstory.
No. These 4 Puerto Rican guys that just showed up and wants to beat people, steal cars and beat people up. Okay, cool.
Yeah. in Bronx, we call that Tuesday. So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
In another dark match, a match that went approximately 3 minutes.
Hey, Mike, real quick, before we go for it, Mike, real quick, let's cut you off. But think about this a second, though. Triple H in a dark match. Triple H is at that point, obviously he's still a relatively newer wrestler, but he already had a name at that point. Kind of weird to see Triple H not involved in the main card, huh?
No, he was involved in the main card on Beware of Dogs. He took on Mark Mero.
No,
that was a match that they got to see.
The dark match at King of the Ring, though, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
I'm finishing the results of Beware of Dogs.
Okay.
So Yokozuna defeated Vader in 3 minutes, and two guys that probably could fail a physical at this point.
You think?
I don't know how either one of them were working. Those guys were so just blown. I think Yokozuna at this point was probably, 500 pounds?
Maybe more. I actually finished, if I'm not mistaken, I think they did the Yokozuna episode on one of these, either on Pritchard's show or whatever, and he was there's some crossover somewhere, and he was definitely, at this point here in 96, his health was not the best, and he was actually, bordering 600 pounds on point.
It was, the JR podcast, they were talking about it, because they did Beware of Dogs, ironically.
Right.
They did.
Right. That's correct.
Goldust defeated The Undertaker in a casket match. It is whatever it is. That match went 8 minutes. A 30-second match between Jake Roberts and Justin Huck Bradshaw. See, this was talked about in the JR podcast. This was supposed to be a match where the fans would see it live to waste more time, and then Magically the Power came on, so they went to Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog. That match ended in a no contest. That match was probably one of the worst matches that Shawn Michaels had in 1996.
And that's saying a lot, because you can't find a bad match. I mean, I actually don't remember this match, to be honest with you. I remember the match that preceded that next month, but, I mean, Shawn Michaels had a bad match.
That match, it's like neither guy cared. It's like they were like, well, the Power went out. Who the fuck cares? These fans are not going to want to see us.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. Just total wrestling fan question. Maybe it's not supposed to be a wrestling fan. If you were at that show and the Power goes out, what do? Do you leave? Do you stay? Apparently you couldn't see anything for the most part, so...
Well...
Apparently there was also, a severe fucking, thunderstorm and, a shit ton of rain, so... I mean, I think I'd have to take into question, did I bring a canoe to get to my car?
Yeah.
Is there lightning? Am I going to die?
Exactly.
I've been trapped. I've been held hostage by Ring of Honor during a 10-foot blizzard of snow in New York, so I understand.
Well, I stay. I paid money for this shit.
What year Ring of Honor?
That was the one that had the Tyler Black and I want to say Austin Aries when they went the hour time limit, which
we got a good match out of it.
But mind you, there was a blizzard outside. It was the worst time to ever just go. At least Shawn Michaels and the British Bulldog did not go an hour. Not that I think they could have, but
no, I think there was only about 20 minutes left in the air time.
Yeah, I don't think Dave Weissman was Bret Hart type to go an hour like that. Too much for that. Yeah.
No. And then the last two matches of Beware of Dog that the audience got to see live, Ahmed Johnson over Jerry Lawler and the Ultimate Warrior over Owen Hart. On the Tuesday, May 28th, these were shown live during a WWE Superstars taping. They did a rematch between Savio Vega and Stone Cold. This match went 21 minutes and 27 seconds. It went 6 minutes longer than the first match. This one had a stipulation, though, to where if Stone Cold lost, Ted DiBiase was out of the WWE forever. And that was because DiBiase decided to take his opportunity to go to WCW. Plus, I think it was also the end of the run of Ted DiBiase being the ringmaster's manager. I think Stone Cold was becoming bigger than that gimmick as it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Steve was ready to be his own mouthpiece. And, with no disrespect to someone of the career of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, it made it almost like a clean break. Wow.
Yeah.
Many tongue.
They
were able to move from Ted, let Steve do his own thing, but not do it like, Steve jumped Ted DiBiase, or do it some kind of shitty way. So, I mean, I was a fan of the clean break.
Well, yeah, and I think, looking back then, I mean, I was in hindsight, you could say, yeah, it was the best thing ever done, because, I mean, DiBiase was one of the best promo guys you could find in the business even then. But yeah, Austin didn't need, at that point, Austin didn't need him. And you can see, even in the early Stone Cold days, you see that from King of the Ring on, like Austin carried his own, in match, in the ring, promos, the presence, it was there. He didn't need anybody. He carried his own self, and, it worked out great for Vince and the company, really.
The only thing I'm thinking right now is I want to see the opposite kind of match. Like, how we always get these matches where if you lose, your career's over, you got to retire, can't come back to the company, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see where two wrestlers are fighting and the loser, like their child, has no choice but to sign with WWE once they're old enough.
Oh, God. In another taped match, or another live match during the taping, Vader defeated Yokozuna. This match went 8 minutes and 53 seconds. I don't know how either one of those guys could have went 8 minutes. We talked about that.
Well, Vader's not. Well, I mean, Vader, to his credit, though, Vader was for a guy his size, he was pretty athletic. I mean, the match that really.
But the problem.
Go ahead.
Getting 8 minutes. Getting 8 minutes out of a 600-pound Yokozuna, though, that's the
problem. Vader could do it, right?
Probably took a lot to get out of it.
Yeah, and again, it was on that time. I mean, at that point, he was on the way out of the Federation anyway. I mean, Vader for me is the most athletic guy of that size I've ever seen. I mean, to me, where Vader impressed me the most, honestly, was the Final Four in the following year. The Final Four of the pay-per-view in February of '97 with Taker and Brett and Austin. I mean, and he held his own, So I mean, so Vader could. I mean, obviously Vader was definitely not was the anomaly in terms of guys that size, But yeah, Yokozuna at that point was on the way out, and his health wasn't the best either, too, as I just alluded to a little while ago.
No. And the last match of the live part was the rematch of the casket match between Goldust and The Undertaker for the Intercontinental title that Goldust won after Mankind popped up out of the casket and helped render The Undertaker pretty much, I'm going to say, unconscious, where they put him in the casket, and then next thing you know, they decided that they were going to try to open the casket, does Paul Bearer, and all you see is smoke, and The Undertaker is gone. Just that command, he's gone.
It's a great angle, man. That Mankind Taker angle is still one of the most underrated angles in history of the business, honestly.
Yep. So that gets us to the King of the Ring. Now, I know a lot of you are probably sitting here waiting. When are they going to talk about the curtain call? Well, we'll talk about it a little bit here as we lead into qualifying for the tournament. The curtain call was an incident in Madison Square Garden where Kevin Nash, Diesel, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and Shawn Michaels, at the end of a steel cage match, the four of them went out to the ring, shared an embrace because Hall and Nash were leaving for WCW, which, according to some, that was approved by Vince McMahon, and then started getting flack from wrestlers in the backstage area. They were killing the territory, killing kayfabe. And Vince then, I guess, kind of got a little bit pissed off because of it. But I think it was more that the veterans, the older statesmen, were going to Vince being upset about it. And basically, because of that situation, unfortunately, Triple H was pretty much pushed down the card everywhere as punishment for it. There was no real punishment on Shawn's behalf because he was the WWF champion at the time. And I don't think that Shawn would have taken any kind of punishment. I think if Vince would have said, hey, we're taking the title off of you and, we're going to push down the card, I think Shawn would have just taken the ball and went home. He's done that enough as it is, but Triple H being a younger performer, still trying to get his feet in WWE or WWF, it's not WWE now, really had no choice but to kind of almost take that one on the chin and eat it for the other three guys.
Yeah, and honestly, Shawn had a leverage too, because remember, Brett is also on his break for 6 months. So Shawn is the company. So, if Vince would have punished Shawn, he's really hurt himself, because who do you go to at that point? I mean, you could probably push Austin much faster, but I mean, at that point, we still didn't know if Austin was the guy or not. So you had to go with Shawn and just eat your pride there a little bit.
Joe, who do you think that they could have put the title on if they decided to, quote, punish Shawn Michaels and take the title off of him?
I honestly have no idea. I mean, we look at this show, look at King of the Ring, and not to spoil anything, but by the end of the show, the three faces that you have standing in the ring are Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, and Ultimate Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? But I don't want to live in the timeline where Ahmed Johnson or Ultimate Warrior was world champion in 1996.
The only resounding name that I keep coming back to would have been the perfect run for Owen Hart.
That's a good point. That's actually a good. I mean, assuming he's a heel title champion again, though. I mean, that'd be Vince breaking tradition.
Shawn was a face here. So you have Owen win the title, and then you could bring Brett back as a face to then try to beat his brother for the title if they tried to somehow punish Shawn for the incident. Which, like you said, they were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because they were never going to punish Shawn, so they took all the punishment out on Hunter. And kudos to him for taking it on the chin and not being that guy that complains about it or, anything along those lines. Just kind of took it and ran with it. But,
he's winning now.
Yeah,
so.
I just feel, yeah, the only name that, I keep coming back to would be, that would be the perfect run for a guy like Owen to transition maybe back to Brett. And if you don't do Owen, maybe you do, Vader.
Or Taker.
Or somebody like that.
I got Taker a year earlier. Yeah.
Man, see, the Taker situation was he was so locked up in Mankind. How do you get him away from Mankind to Shawn to then beat Shawn and then get back into Mankind? I feel like that's like a 3-month thing. And if you're trying to punish somebody quickly, what do you do that makes the most sense? You get it on someone who, the fans can hate quickly. And Owen Hart with his cast, if you want to try to protect Shawn a little, have Owen blast him with the cast, put him in the sharpshooter or something, do something fluky, and win the belt that way, or maybe even put the belt on Bulldog if Beware of Dog, because he was feuding with Bulldog at the time.
Right.
But again, Shawn had Vince by the balls.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't really matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the qualification for the 1996 King of the Ring started on the 27th of May, Monday Night Raw. The Ultimate Warrior and Goldust went to a double countout. This match is known for the start of the Jerry the King Lawler Ultimate Warrior feud and the Goldust Ahmed Johnson match, both scheduled to take place on this card. I mentioned Ahmed Johnson. He loses to Vader on the same episode of Monday Night Raw. So bracket-wise, it leaves Vader as being pretty much a walk to the semifinals due to the countout of Goldust and the Ultimate Warrior. On the June 2nd episode of Superstars, Justin Hawk Bradshaw, soon to be known JBL in the 2000s. He was in the fucking WWE in 1996. What in the world is going on?
Yeah.
He had like a 40-year career.
Yeah. Crazy, huh?
He defeated the pig farmer Henry O. Godwin. Yes, he defeated Hog.
Henry O. Godwin. Hog.
On the June 3rd episode of Raw, Stone Cold Steve Austin over Bob Sparky Plug Holly.
I hate that gimmick. To this day, I hate that gimmick. Spark Plug Holly.
I can't seem to not think, when I think of Bob Holly, I think of something to wrestle. Hey, I got an idea. How about you give me the belt and I'll kick everyone's ass?
I'm a hardcore Holly guy. That's the guy I remember. Hardcore Holly. That was.
That guy was great.
Mm-hmm.
Jake the Snake Roberts over Hunter Hearst Helmsley. See, here's the punishment. Hunter was tentatively projected to win this. He loses in the qualifying round of this tournament. So
you
can see where he kind of fell drastically there.
Yep, you lose a 41-year-old. Yeah, that's definitely a drop.
Yeah,
a pudgy one of that.
On the June 9th episode of Superstar, Savio Vega, he's there.
It's Joe's guy.
Marty Jannetty to qualify. Joe's guy, Savio Vega. Let's get there. And on the June 10th episode of Raw, what?
I'm saying he's there. He's just there.
He's there.
He's there. He advanced in the tournament. He's there. On the June 10th episode of Raw, Mark Merrow over Body Donna Skip. And Owen Hart over Yokozuna, his former tag team champion partner and former member of Camp Cornette.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Yoko has his face now too, right? Was Yoko face at this point now? Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was that point where they were starting to let him talk and just they gave up all intentions of, oh, by the way, he's Japanese. Once you hear him speak, it's like, oh.
He's definitely Samoan.
Yeah.
So the quarterfinal brackets, Vader gets the bye due to the countout. Jake Roberts will take on Justin Bradshaw. Stone Cold versus Savio Vega in a rematch of the Beware of Dog match. It seems like those guys were just going to have matches every week. And Mark Mero versus Owen Hart. On the June 16th episode of Superstars, Jake the Snake Roberts over Justin Bradshaw. So that sets up Jake versus Vader on the show. And on the the June 17th episode of Raw, Stone Cold Steve Austin over Savio Vega. And the Wild Man Mark Mero, who's currently undefeated in WWE at this point, over Owen Hart to set up Austin versus Mero on the show. So those are two matches for sure that are locked into this event. The semifinals, Austin versus Mero, Roberts versus Vader, and then the finals, the two winners of those matches will face off.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Mark Mero being undefeated up to this point? And how, I get, the Johnny B. Bad character was supposed to be cool and whatever in WCW, but this Wild Man gimmick sucked.
Oh, of course it sucks. I mean, and not only that, I mean, I hate saying that because he actually was a really good wrestler. I mean, he was very exciting. I mean, he's a high flyer and all that, and his matches for the most part were entertaining, but it just his gimmick never caught on. And I think honestly having Sable took away from him, honestly, more than anything else. I don't think it actually helped his gimmick. I think it actually hurt his gimmick way more because people will care about Sable more than about him. It's got to be a balance. I texted you earlier today about the reason why Macho Man was so huge. Because even though Liz was gorgeous and Liz got a lot of attention, it never took away from Savage. It actually made him even more polarizing in a lot of ways. Even when he went with Sherry. And Mark Mero didn't have that personality. His gimmick didn't have that personality that Savage had. That's the big difference.
Joe, your thought process on Wild Man Mark Mero?
I'm not going to lie, and I think I even texted this to you when I was watching the show the other day, but I don't get why he didn't get more over in WWE at the time, because I kind of liked the gimmick. I mean, it was simple enough. His wrestling was on point. I mean, the match he has here, once we talk about it, I loved it, honestly. So, I think he had a superstar look. I mean, he was lacking the makeup that he had in WCW, but what can you do? We can't all be RuPaul's Drag Race.
Nope.
But, I thought that he was fantastic, and I certainly liked him a lot more here than I did when he was doing the, I used to be a boxer gimmick come, 97.
Yeah, that was dumb.
And I do see what you're saying about Sable, and, I mean, the amount of over that she ended up being, given that she really didn't have to do much other than, be herself and, be gorgeous. It's interesting because I get what you're saying. I see how she pulled away from him as opposed to being a complete act.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think we have to look at the era also. That was that point in the business where we were starting to get it wasn't quite obvious in the middle of 96, but definitely by the end of 96. We'll get to the point now where we're getting tired of all these unauthentic wrestlers, heel or face. And Mark Mero kind of represented that kind of a character that we were trying to get away from, very cartoonish in a lot of ways. The reason why Austin came on so quickly and so naturally and organically was because Austin was just more relatable as a character than Mark Mero was. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. So if Wild Man Mark Mero had been in WWF in 1993, he might have legitimately a world title contender.
He might have gone title run. Absolutely, might have gone title run. It's the same thing with Rocky Maivia. Same thing. And Rocky Maivia had the look already, but it didn't catch on because of it just came off unauthentic. So you go to the well and make him a heel, which obviously was the best thing that happened. I think him going to heel was the best thing that happened to Rocky Maivia. Same thing with Austin, and this is where I think Mero suffered also as well.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I think Mero also suffered because all the camera wanted to do was stare at Sable.
Yeah, and again,
how many cutaways during this match was them looking at Sable in the corner, bending over with half of her tits hanging out?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. They took away from his time of actually watching him actually perform and do cool things to show her.
And it's a shame because he was a very good wrestler. He was very exciting. He was a high flyer.
Absolutely. I think that's more or less my point is if they paired him with nobody or paired him with someone that, may not have had the looks of a Sable, I think it may have even gone even better for him as the Wild Man. I think the gimmick may have actually had some life because, he was wild. He was doing crazy things. He was flipping when nobody else was. So, I mean, like, from the standpoint of, he really was acting wild. But the problem was the cat call at the beginning of his music, and then you walk out with a woman that looks like Sable. Yeah, you're drawing dead, bro.
It should have worked. I mean, it should have worked naturally because the whole thing, you think on looks alone, it should have worked, but this didn't work. Like, how the hell is Flash Funk getting more pop than he is? I mean, seriously, it makes no sense to me. But again, it's about the authenticity of the character, and people didn't like the character and didn't come off as authentic, I guess.
You just brought Flash Funk into this conversation.
But that's not my point, though. I mean, that's my point, though. How is he getting more pop than Mark Merrow? Mark Merrow's a far better wrestler than Flash Funk.
Because everyone loved Flash Funk's music.
So, he was funky. He was funky.
Flash, you're so funky.
Oh, shit. All right. Main storylines of this pay-per-view. Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog. At In Your House 8, which we talked about at the beginning of the show, they had a match where it was a double pinfall that both men's shoulders were down. The second official counted Shawn's down, while Earl Hebner, the original official, awarded the match to Michaels, counting Bulldog's shoulders down. On the June 3rd episode of Raw, Gorilla Monsoon announced that the two would have a match, and it was noted that Camp Cornette was allowed to pick the special guest referee, which Jim Cornette selected to be Mr. Perfect.
Kurt Hennig.
The perfect referee. We'll talk about him a little bit as the show goes on because he has some pop-up angles and conversations, so we won't go too deep into that just yet. Mankind versus The Undertaker, another match on this card. April 1st, Mankind made his Raw debut, defeating Sparky Plug. Later in the night, he attacked The Undertaker. On the May 13th episode of Raw, The Undertaker and Paul Bearer were in the ring with Vince McMahon when Marlena and Goldust came out to distract Taker because of their impending casket match. And then Mankind snuck in and attacked The Undertaker. And then, of course, Mankind at In Your House, Beware of Dog Part 2 helped Goldust win the casket match by rendering The Undertaker unconscious with the mandible claw, leading to The Undertaker disappearing. So why not have them two have a match?
Now, for the record, I know Goldust had a lot of heat back then, but how the hell is he beating Undertaker? Is beyond me, honestly.
He had Mankind.
I know.
Mankind helped him.
This is weird to me. That's all.
Well, because you're The Undertaker here. He's someone that me and you have talked about, and I think me and Joe have talked about this. He doesn't need the title to be over. He's not someone that's had to rely on having a title to be over. So I just think it made more sense to where, let's give Goldust even more heat by having him beat the guy that everybody wants to see win with help from the guy that's pulling out his own hair.
Yeah, he had a lot of heat, though, in this time. 96, Goldust is like probably the biggest heel in the company, arguably.
Yeah. Can we also talk about how Goldust, or how Mankind was the shit? He had the deranged music, and then when he won, he had the piano, like the happy music.
I love that song.
That was awesome.
I love it.
I love that he had the two different themes.
Yep.
He'd have like the deranged psychopath music walking out, and then you'd have the fucking happy piano playing after he won.
Yeah.
It made me so happy.
Joe, were you Mankind fan back then?
Mankind was one of the best gimmicks I think WWF has ever had. Like,
yes.
And again, I feel like it gets kind of overlooked because everyone just remembers Mick Foley as, Mick Foley.
The guy that got thrown off the top of the cell.
I think it's the best character, honestly. I think Mankind over Cactus Jack.
Yeah. This original Mankind, I feel like, is the best. When they made him like the corporate Mankind and he put on the stupid white shirt and got thrown off a Hell in the Cell, that was just, something new that we can do because we know this guy's crazy and has to take that bump. Mm-hmm. But this Mankind, where like, his character perception, where he was like pulling out his own hair and, trying to choke himself with the mandible claw and like just showing that he was like fucking a psychopath was like the best character for Foley.
Because by the time you're at King of the Ring 98 and they're wrestling, which that was fun to remember that they wrestled like 2 years later again at the same show.
Mm-hmm.
But, by the time you're there, they've already broken the fourth wall down and the fifth wall.
So
and there was a sixth wall that they were just like, let's take a swing at. they've already established that, like, Mankind is quote unquote a character that Mick Foley plays, and so you have to look to when Mankind first debuted and his original character, and if he he had just that character is just so well done.
It's so true. You come off a whole year of Dude Love too on top of that. So yeah,
right, exactly.
Another match on the show that we got a little bit of build for, the Ultimate Warrior versus Jerry the King Lawler. Now, this one is one of those matches where when you look at it on paper, you know those two guys' career, especially Lawler and Memphis. You're like, oh man, maybe they could get a good match out of each other, something buildable. This one started with Warrior and Goldust getting counted out, which I talked about at the beginning of the bracket. Post-match, Lawler tries to retrieve the electric chair of Marlena. He's stopped by the Warrior, who destroys the chair. On the June 10th episode of Raw, Lawler offers an apology for costing Warrior his match with Goldust and offers him a painted portrait, which if you lived under a rock, even you would know that portrait was going to get smashed. There's no way that portrait was making it out of that ring in one piece. But Lawler, in real life, has been very critical of this episode because the Ultimate Warrior was scared to have the glass broken over his head. So he came out wearing a baseball hat, something that the Ultimate Warrior has done approximately 0 times in his life, which is an even bigger red flag of, hey, by the way, this portrait's getting smashed.
Yeah. I remember this. I remember watching this live, actually. I was 16 at the time. This is Warrior's comeback. This is third one now with WWE? Third or fourth one? Third one.
This is the third.
Third one, yeah.
Insert comeback here.
Yeah. I remember buying the comic book that year. Remember he had that whole comic book thing that came out? The Warrior comic book, the Warrior
That was
University.
that was the hat that he wore.
Yeah, I actually bought into that year. I wasn't even a Warrior fan. I actually don't like the Ultimate Warrior. I've never really been a fan, to be honest with you. I understand why his place in WWE and all that, especially hearing the stories and of him backstage and in later years. It makes you honestly like him even less. But he was still over, dude. The guy was still over. I mean, he could have, if he had gotten his shit straight, he could have gotten another title run out of this, possibly, because he was so over.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, he's one of those guys I'll give them credit for, and I feel like WCW did this with Goldberg, to a certain point too. But Warrior was one of those guys that they booked to his strengths and nothing else. They were just like, okay, we know that you can have a 4-minute match. We know that the audience will get really excited when you start, running in place and all that stuff. So just go do what you do, and we'll see what happens. And it works. It really, really works.
His only match of longer than 4 minutes that's even worth watching is the Hogan match.
Yeah. Well, and the Savage match.
And the Savage match, Mania 7, absolutely.
Yes.
Mania 7. But again, we know why. You know who carried that match, though.
Oh, yeah. Hands down. I mean, Warrior does, all of, 3 moves over and over again in that match, but it works.
Oh, Rick Rude also. Rick Rude and, especially SummerSlam 89, I think. I would take that match over the Mania 5 match, Rick Rude and Warrior. And even the SummerSlam 90 match was pretty decent. The cage match.
Yeah. With the cage match.
You're not a fan of that, Mikey?
The cage match was alright. 89, I'm still on the fence about. There's parts of it that just doesn't do anything for me.
Well, I think maybe 89 also has little memories for me personally. I mean, I was 9 years old. I remember watching that live. Rooting for Rick Rude, by the way, too, back then. I couldn't stand the Warrior even back then.
I'm telling you now, if someone came out with essentially the Ultimate Warrior gimmick, they would get over huge even today. Today.
He was dude, he could do no wrong, even though he was a scumbag of a human being. He was still so over. You saw, even in 96, he wasn't over. He was getting more pop than Shawn Michaels.
Joe, they tried that. They tried an Ultimate Warrior. His name is Ryback.
That's right.
That was the new goal.
He got over, and then they tried to turn him into a Paul Heyman guy, and they tried to let him start wrestling, and it fucking ended up terribly. And now he doesn't wrestle in WWE anymore.
With it, that's what I'm saying. When you have certain guys that it's okay, this is what you can do. Let's just let you do what you can do because it works in those cases.
We also have to have wrestlers that are able to take that punishment from said person. Because Ryback wasn't also the safest fucking guy in the world. CM Punk can attest to that. So, you know, I think, like, the way that wrestling has adapted, the Ultimate Warrior style worked really well even in 96 because it was still, quote, real. If you had someone out there that just ran around, clotheslined people, hit a splash, and then pinned somebody in, like, 2 minutes, like, it worked for, like, the first, like, month, but then fans nowadays would get so frustrated. They're like, why isn't he doing a 450? Why isn't he flipping off of a stage?
Right.
Because, you know, if you're not doing flips, no one cares.
Exactly.
Makes me fucking
Mark Merrill.
So maybe that needs to be. Maybe there needs to be someone that's basically like has like the energy of an Ultimate Warrior, but then instead of doing power moves, does like 150s off the top rope or whatever.
Ooh, 1080s. Let's do it.
Yeah, there you go. That's a hack corner.
Where's Jack Evans? Intercontinental title match on this show: Ahmed Johnson versus Goldust. We got here based off of Ahmed Johnson losing to Vader and pretty much being rendered unconscious, and Goldust performing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. There have been rumor and innuendo of Ahmed Johnson being extremely pissed off at this because during run-throughs, they did it with Dustin basically putting his finger over Ahmed's lips so they didn't go lip-to-lip, but when it was live, he went mouth-to-mouth.
I mean, you gotta go mouth-to-mouth. That's just, like...
Yeah. I mean... I get it.
My favorite thing about this is a storyline that would never happen in the year 2019.
No chance. Drawing dead.
No, actually would have worked in 1998, 99, 2000 maybe, but 96 was still kind of like, whoa, what the hell? This is how I kind of know Vince was kind of desperate for ratings too, because, I mean, 96 was kind of a, like, to be real, the business was still down. And Goldust, I mean, that kind of character in 1996, I remember being 16 years old. I mean, that kind of stuff was still passé. You couldn't really feel comfortable seeing that on television, especially in the World Wrestling Federation.
Absolutely. That's the funny thing is, like, see, now what I'm saying that, like, the Ultimate Warrior character could still get over today. You couldn't get a character over like Goldust, like the early version of Goldust today.
Not today. Well, I mean...
I don't think it'd be shocking. It
would shock that would be gone.
Over. Huh?
Yeah, Goldust got heat because it was shocking, because it was new.
Right.
And it worked.
And in a world that we live in today where, that stuff isn't shocking anymore, which, it's a lot more normalized, which is not a bad thing, or, I mean, it's your opinion if it's a bad thing or a good thing, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think that would be shocking anybody.
No.
The nation being more open to it as a whole would make it less of a shock and awe character than it was in 96.
Which would hurt the character in the end because it doesn't have there's no teeth in it. There's more teeth in doing 1996 because, there was a lot more, there was definitely a risk, but it was a high reward and they won on that.
Correct. So the final 1996 King of the Ring card, which we're going to get into here in a second, the final card is Austin Mero, Roberts Vader in the semis, with the winners of those matches facing off in the finals. A tag team championship match between the new champion Smoking Guns and the former champion the Godwins, which was built off of basically Sonny jumping from the Godwins to the Smoking Guns. Warrior versus Lawler, Goldust versus Ahmed for the Intercontinental title. Mankind Undertaker and the WWF title match between Shawn Michaels and the British Bulldog. The card started with the pre-show, which saw in a free-for-all match, which was basically the WWF's version of the now hour pre-show that they show on the network. It was on, like, the TV Guide channel. At least whenever I was a kid, it was on the TV Guide channel. I don't know about you guys. But it was basically 30 minutes leading into the show where there would be one match, and then they would show some video packages and have some dark match, or some interviews in the back that were pre-recorded.
Which made a lot of sense. Honestly, doing pre-shows back then made a lot of sense because it was like a last minute, like, let's sell a couple more pay-per-views,
Yeah.
Doing pre-shows today doesn't make as much sense to me.
No.
I mean, like, especially not on WWE, because I don't think they put them anywhere other than on the network. I don't think, do they stream them on, like, Facebook or something?
I think they put them on YouTube.
Okay.
Which, I mean, cool, but I think also Twitter. I think Twitter they stream on there too. I think I saw that whenever I was checking out and stuff.
Very smart to do that. Use social media as a way to draw up last-minute buyers for your network and or pay-per-view.
Yeah, if they're doing that, then that's brilliant. I wasn't sure if they were doing that. I don't go on the Twitter as we've established.
The Twitter, yeah. In the free-for-all match, the Body Donnas skip and zip with new manager Cloudy, which was RuPaul Drag Race 2.0. Defeated the New Rockers of Marty Jannetty and Leif Cassidy, also known as Al Snow.
Leif Cassidy.
The New Rockers were something that entertained me because, it's like, oh, cool, Leif Cassidy is the new Shawn Michaels. Knowing that no matter how hard they tried, they were never going to be able to put together the Rockers
Such a dumb
the way
idea.
they were in the late 80s.
Dumb idea. I never liked it.
I got a kick out of it. I thought it was quite entertaining.
Oh, really?
I did. I don't know, weird like that.
Joe, did you like the New Rockers?
The thing that I remember most about them from when I was younger was one spread about them in a WWF magazine, because I used to collect all those. I used to get that in the mail every month. And there was one issue where there was a spread with them, I think they were touring the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something. And that is literally my memory of the New Rockers. I don't remember any of their matches.
Oh, that's great. In a dark match, only seen by the live audience, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley defeated Aldo Montoya. The Portuguese Man of War. Any fond memories of the Portuguese Man of War?
I don't remember.
I personally think that he is just incredible. I'm just putting that out there.
All I gotta think about is Triple H fall from grace after the curtain call. Good lord, you on pay-per-view? Come on now.
Oh god. Yeah, that one hurt a little bit, but we all know that Triple H's upswing is getting ready to start. It's going to start heavy, so.
Well, we know now 2019.
I think he'll end up okay.
Yeah, I think he'll end up just fine.
He'll be okay. Don't worry about it, guys. Story ends well.
Yeah. So the main show begins, and if you watch it on the WWE Network, you'll see a video package begins with them building up the big matches. It starts with a Warrior Lawler, and then it moves to the King of the Ring semis. Mm-hmm. Then it shifts to Mankind, Undertaker, a small piece on the Guns and the Godwins, Ahmed Johnson, Goldust, including Goldust trying to perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and then it finishes with Bulldog and Michaels and a picture of the King of the Ring throne. So then we see the wide shot of...
From Milwaukee.
They're in the Mecca in Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee something. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, the Mecca.
The Mecca, right. That's what
if you look, I looked at the pay-per-view buy rate for this, so we can talk about that before we go into the actual show. 0.6 was the buy rate for the King of the Ring 96. So, I want to say it was slightly down from 95, but it will be a full 0.1 point higher than 97. 97 was 0.5.
Really?
So, yeah.
Shocking. By the way, the intro for the show, I loved it. The music they played the use of that, I love the intro.
Mm-hmm. Well, SummerSlam, which I guess is the next main show after King of the Ring, its buy rate in 96 was 0.58. So they lost 0.02 buy rate from main show to main show.
The opening, I'll say one thing. When the opening video started with the Ultimate Warrior, my first thought was what did I just agree to? What am I about to say? Wait a second. And
I think you're not a Warrior guy too, huh?
And I am, right, exactly. Like I said, I love the Warrior. He's one of my favorites as a kid. But then I still was just wait. And the fact that he was wrestling Jerry Lawler, who's never been one of my favorites in the ring, I was definitely just oh god, this is what they're leading with. Wait a second.
You see, I'm the anomaly. I was never a Warrior guy. Even when I was a kid, I didn't like him.
I mean, I liked him, but I saw where you could see through him because he was that guy that just did 3 moves.
Yeah.
So we're in the Mecca in Milwaukee, and as the show starts, music hits, And out walks Owen Hart, the 2-time Slammy Award-winning, cast on his hand, King of Hearts. He joins Vince McMahon and Jim Ross on commentary. He proceeds to shove Jim Ross, take the microphone out of his hand, and says, "Let's get this show on the road, guys." And we head to match number 1 of the show. It is semifinals match number 1. It is Stone Cold Steve Austin as he takes on Mark Mero, who has Sable with him. They show clips of both men getting how they got there, basically to the semifinals. And this match started off with a smooth feeling out process, but then it started to pick up some pace, and Mero started to speed up his offense. There is an incident where Austin starts to bleed out of his mouth. I don't know exactly when it happened. The only thing that I can think of is there was a spot where Mero gets whipped into the corner, jumps up in the middle, and it goes for almost like he's going for a spinning kick or something, but only goes halfway. And it looks like he clashes the back of his head into Austin's mouth. I tried to watch that match super intense to see where it happened, but I couldn't figure out where he started to bleed from.
Yeah, me either. I couldn't see the spot either.
Yeah, no clue.
Joe, do you have?
No.
Yeah,
clue.
So they started going back and forth. I thought they had a great match.
Yeah, I love this match. I love this match.
The finish. This is your favorite of the show?
Yeah, hands down, easily. This was awesome.
It's definitely in my top 3. I will 100%
Mine
say
too.
that.
Mine too. I'll say number 2 probably.
So the finish sees Austin hit almost like he's going for a powerbomb, but then falls backwards with Mero crashing throat first into the rope. Pretty cool for 1996 to see that that's a move that someone used to help set up a finish.
Mm-hmm.
Really hadn't been done a lot leading into that. Austin picks up a dazed and confused Mero and hits him with the stunner, the move that debuted in the quarterfinals that Austin used for the first time. This is the second time he's used it, and defeats Mark Mero. Mero's first loss in the WWF. I gave the match 3.5 stars. I thought it was really, really good. If I could have figured out where Austin was fucking busted his mouth open, I think I would have felt a little bit better. I was kind of annoyed that I couldn't see where it happened. Austin ends up getting 16 stitches in his mouth and slashed tongue. So it only makes sense that I feel like that's what it was, because he probably bit his tongue whenever he slashed heads. We're in the back. We see Doc Hendricks, a.k.a. Michael P.S. Hayes, talking to Jake the Snake Roberts, who Bible quotes and, saying how Vader's this big bad enemy and he knows it. But with the power, he's got a shot.
Yep.
Why wouldn't they just let Jake be Jake? Why? Why do we have to
and honestly, I hated his angle. I hated the I'm saying I hated the angle of being a Christian on that, because that's my belief also too. But however, it didn't fit Jake. I mean, it wasn't. I don't even think Jake was going through that either. Also, I don't think he was going through that situation. Also, in terms of professing to be that guy, it wasn't who he was. At least to my knowledge, anyway.
Yeah.
It felt unauthentic, man. I don't know, man. I think they're just trying to sell his comeback, and he was, because they brought in some of his real life stuff, some of the addictions and stuff he was going through, in his comeback into the storyline, but it felt a little forced. I don't know, it felt a little forced. I was okay with the comeback though, but it felt forced in general.
Joe, your thoughts on Bible thumping Jake Roberts?
I don't remember much about it from when it first happened, and I haven't watched enough of it recently other than the show. So I don't really have a stance on it. I certainly wasn't oh wow, this is awesome, but I didn't hate it. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, if he wasn't all look at me, I'm Catholic, then we wouldn't have Austin mocking him and coming up with Austin 3:16. So I guess we owe Jake Roberts and Jesus the assist on that one, right?
Assist to number 0, God is first.
I mean, in the end, it was the best thing that ever happened, because the transition from him doing that in Austin, and the kind of the match made in heaven kind of thing happened. No pun intended. And Austin doing the 3:16 thing. I mean, it made sense, and it bolstered his career, obviously. But
absolutely.
Right. like he never would have had a reason to reference that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That totally comes.
So we transition from that, and we see Vader coming out to the ring with Camp Cornette head guy James E. Cornette.
I love Jim Cornette, dude. I listen to this podcast all the time, and this I think maybe because it's Pritchard made me follow him all over again. You know, his imitations and his imitating him all the time. Like, but Cornette's great, man. Cornette's so underrated, man. He is so underrated as a manager.
I would probably put him in my Mount Rushmore of managers. But today, Jim Cornette kind of drives me insane.
Oh, because he is insane. That's the whole point. He is insane, and he'll tell you that.
No, absolutely. But I mean, I don't think you can sit there and grade what happened in 1996 the same way you grade something in 2019. And I think he tries to do that. It makes me want to slam my head into a wall repeatedly.
Yeah.
So he's followed out by Jake the Snake Roberts. We see how both of those guys got to the semis. I'm going to be the first one to say it. What this was, it flat out stunk.
Yeah, it was trash.
It was no, it really was. It wasn't even a match. Like,
yeah, no, it was like a 4-minute angle. The finish saw Roberts go for the DDT. Vader shoves the ref as he's getting driven to the ground. Ref calls for the bell. Post-match, Jake goes to try to get the snake. Vader gets a running head start and splashes him in the corner twice. Cornette did a really fun job of blocking the referee from getting to Vader.
Yeah,
the one referee by himself was going to be able to stop Vader, but Cornette playing that heel, like blocking him off in the corner, kudos to that. That was really awesome. I got a pop out of that. Vader bomb in the corner on the, quote, previously injured ribs of Jake the Snake Roberts. Supposedly, there's rumors that this legitimately hurt Jake Roberts. So, I mean, if that literally hurt Roberts, then, I mean, I guess it played into the whole rib injury fairly well. But
it makes sense too because of the fact that after this event, I mean, he was still around the Federation of the Year, but he wasn't pretty much as much involved in a lot of high profile matches after this event. So that will probably play into that as well too.
Yeah, I would definitely say that probably played some role in it. Ending sees Roberts being helped to the back by officials while Vader stands in the ring, being booed by everybody and everything.
Love Vader, dude.
So our finals are set. It's a injured Jake the Snake Roberts, who's 41 years old, against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's the other thing, like, I guess as that match was going on and as the post-match angle was going on, I enjoyed the fact that Owen Hart was making fun of Jake the Snake Roberts' age. Just adding, like, random 10 to 20 years every time he talked. Oh, he's a 61-year-old, 71-year-old, 91-year-old. You know, I just got a kick out of that because I feel like they were trying to shove down everyone's throat the fact that Jake the Snake Roberts was 41 years old and in the finals of the King of the Ring. Which kind of drove me insane a little bit. I think if I have to hear that he's 41 again, I might just throw 41 things at my TV.
By the way, Owen Hart on commentary, not terrible, actually. I thought I hated it, but not terrible.
Vastly underrated.
Yeah,
the guy was
not
hilarious.
terrible. Yeah, some parts like what he's saying there, but it actually made sense. It made sense.
You know, I'm just realizing something ironic that I've never realized before. Wasn't this around the same time too when WWF was like mocking WCW for using like geriatric performers like Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage?
Correct.
And,
the Nacho King and the Huckster.
Like they were specifically making fun of them for, you know, these guys being so old. But then half of this redemption storyline for Jake Roberts is he's an old man. Which, by the way, 41, sure, it seemed old when I was like 12, but now that I'm not that far from 41,
I gotta tell you. Yeah, I gotta tell you. Also, when I'm hearing Owen Hart say 41, and I'm like, dude, I'm like 2 years away from that. What the fuck?
Right.
So I'm 39. So I mean, I'm looking at like, whoa, that's old, really? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't think they would ever do that now. Like they don't point out how old AJ Styles is every time he comes out to the ring, and he's like what in his 40s.
Fucking ageist, man.
Yeah.
The ageist.
Yeah. Totally. 100%.
So we transition from Vader to the WWF Tag Team Title match. The Godwins against the Smoking Guns. We see the Godwins. They're led out to the ring by everybody's favorite Jim, Hillbilly Jim.
It's good to see him Hillbilly out there.
I love Hillbilly. He's awesome.
Me too.
I liked him as manager of the Godwins.
Yeah, I did too. I did. Yeah, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, totally.
We then see the Smoking Guns and Sonny in the back talking about how Sonny will do everything in her power to help the Smoking Guns retain their titles.
Everything in her power?
She will.
Everything?
I bet she will.
Yeah.
I've seen her. I've heard she does it for less than titles, but
yeah. I'm not big on blondes though. Sonny back then was hot as hell, dude. I'm not even big on blondes, but dude, I remember her being like, "Whoa, she's hot."
Yeah, the outfits she wore also that situation.
Yeah,
she was at least half the reason I was confused until I was at least 16.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. So Phineas tries to go crazy as the Smoking Guns and Sonny get in the ring trying to get after all of them because, Phineas had eyes for Sonny. Because, Sonny likes her pigs.
Of course.
I was waiting for you to get that one in.
By the way, I noticed also, too, and I didn't notice it back then, but Billy Gunn was very, very, very talented. Very talented, Billy Gunn.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the few guys, I realize this, who has kept the same name even when his gimmick has been radically different.
Yep.
Yes, you texted me that.
There's very few people who can make that claim. Like, The Undertaker is, like, one of the few others. But, and it's funny because Billy Gunn worked as a name in the Smoking Guns. Like, it was a great pun. And then it still was just like, oh, now you're gay. You're still Billy. Oh, now you're just the one. What the hell was that gimmick? But, like,
he's the one.
Other than when he left WWE, he was always Billy Gunn.
Yeah. I was a fan of that, too. The comment I made to you is, I'm currently watching a match that involves pig, hog, butterbeans bitch, and a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
One of these things is not like the other.
Exactly. No doubt, man.
Honestly, I actually really enjoyed the beginning stages of this match, with, the Godwins trying to impose their physical stature on the Guns, but the Guns being able to use their quickness to really, lay on the Godwins and wear them down. There was parts of it that kind of dragged on, but I feel like that's a lot of tag matches have those, dull moments, especially here in the 90s, because tag team wrestling then was actually, still, I'm not going to say a prime concern of both companies, but a thing that actually people cared to watch. So, you had to have those moments where the teams would 2-on-1s and would wear out a person's arm or leg or, neck or whatever it was. And, I like that both teams did their jobs of being able to get the fans to stay involved in this thing throughout without actually really dragging it to a screeching halt, which I've seen some tag matches that WWE did in the 90s. Literally, the whole thing just comes to a complete stop. And, then you lose the fans, and then they're looking at the Blimp or Sonny or Hillbilly or whatever, and it just turns into a shitstorm. The finish of this one saw all four men in the ring battling it out. The refs decided that it was a good time to try to get Henry Godwin out of the ring. I don't know why, whatever. Bart Gunn takes his boot off, runs across the ring, full steam, hits Phineas in the back of the head, allowing a winded or beat up or whatever you want to call it, Billy Gunn just kind of fall on top of Phineas, and they get the 3 count, and the Smoking Guns retain. Sonny does her little dance with the tag titles. I liked the match. I thought it was, a good tag match, better than the angle that we saw previous.
Yeah, it definitely was consideration for my top three matches of the night. It was definitely consideration.
I had it in the conversation, but not in the top 3.
No,
I did not enjoy it anywhere near as much as you guys. I didn't dislike it. I just thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, more than anything, it reminded me how much I missed when tag teams were like gimmicks like that. Like, I love that. That's one of my favorite things about tag team wrestling from back then. And we don't get that as much anymore. I enjoyed that. I thought it was a good match. I definitely thought it was a good match. It's definitely not in my top 3 for the night.
No. So So that match wraps up. Sunny does her little dance, and we go to the back and we see Camp Cornette. They're in the back in the locker room getting ready for tonight's main event of the British Bulldog versus Shawn Michaels.
Was that a Coliseum Video exclusive?
Says, yes, it was a Coliseum home video exclusive.
Aha,
we see Cornette basically in a roundabout way saying, there's no chance Michaels is leaving with the title tonight. And then out of the corner of your eye, you see the special guest referee getting dressed in Camp Cornette's dressing room. British Bulldog had a great line here about why Perfect was dressing with Camp Cornette, along the lines of, why would he dress with Shawn Michaels? He'd have to worry about his wallet getting stolen. Great shot. I laughed so hard at that, I almost fucking started crying.
Bulldog, pull up funnies today. Good job, Bulldog.
Yeah. So now you can see that they're kind of building to where Mr. Perfect will screw over Shawn Michaels to help Camp Cornette win. Keep an eye on that because that'll lead to something later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Next out is Jerry the King Lawler. He makes his way right towards the King of the Ring throne, saying, well, been there, done that. Starts looking at the cape and the crown and the scepter, and he takes the scepter with him.
I was saying, it's like, what are you doing? Is that yours? Allegedly.
Okay, this makes no sense. He then starts to down-talk the city of Milwaukee, telling that the Brewers and Brewers fans are a bunch of drunks. Proceeds to tell a female in the crowd, you're the reason why Goldust is the way he is.
Dude, this is great. I think you knew the match was going to be shit anyway, so having this little stand-up, like 3-minute stand-up before the match started, was definitely lifting my spirits.
Oh, yeah, that definitely got this match from oh god, fuck, this match is going to be terrible to, well, at least we had a laugh beforehand.
Yeah. And, by the way, Lawler's mullet.
Oh god.
Jesus. And it got worse in 97, by the way, for the record.
Yeah, terrible. Joe, your thought process on Jerry the King Lawler here?
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed him coming out. I enjoyed everything he was talking about. Like I said, it's funny because he's one of those guys that I really wasn't a fan of when I was a kid. Like, he would get the kind of heat from me. God, I hate that I just said it like that. But he would get the reaction out of me that made me, just roll my eyes and want to change the channel. And now that I see him, watching it now from an adult point of view where, I kind of understand, like, what he's trying to do. And it's like, oh, wait, he's kind of fantastic at his job. Holy crap. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. He's great. I mean, again, that 3 minutes could be the best part of the entire show, honestly, if you think about it. Arguably.
Yeah, that one was good. So, King makes his way in the ring, and out comes the Ultimate Warrior. So, what were you more surprised about here? The fact that this was Warrior's, last match, really, in WWE, or his second to last match. He had a match at a Superstars taping like 2 days later. Or that in the course of the next almost 21 years, he made no appearances until the Hall of Fame, WrestleMania, Raw, before he died.
Yeah. I think.
What are we more surprised about?
The first part. No, the second part, I'd say. Second part. The first part, look, this is him leaving the company or getting fired, whatever. This is part of the pattern he created for himself. Remember, this is his third time in the company, so at some point it is what it is.
And all 3 times he left because he wanted more money. So this match begins with Jerry the King Lawler wasting 0 time and attacking the Ultimate Warrior with the scepter that he stole from the stage.
Yeah.
Great tidbit there.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the let's choke him out with the scepter.
I was surprised Warrior sold as long as he did. To be honest, I was surprised Warrior sold as long as he did.
What did he sell for? Like 3 minutes?
Yeah, that's like
2.5 minutes
for Warrior to do that. For Warrior to do that, that's a lot of time for Warrior. To be honest, it's to sell that.
This is correct. Lawler hit something that we haven't seen in WWE ring in a really long time. nowadays. The pile driver. Lawler hit his trademark pile driver. Warrior just pops up, no-sells it, starts going crazy. Fans cheer. Hey, again, here, let's let Warrior do what Warrior knows how to do and not try to fucking, tell him to do something different.
Yeah.
He hits his 3 big clotheslines, hits a diving shoulder tackle, puts both knees on Lawler's chest, gets the win, and the crowd goes wild.
That's all they want. Just get the result and get him out of the ring. Sell tickets. Bang, bang.
Nothing. I thought it was a much better match than I was expecting. Like I said, when the show started with being that match, I was like, oh, God. But, and, it was Jerry Lawler was an amazing heel, and he brought out his A game, or at least his, B-plus game. And Warrior did what Warrior does, like you just said. And,
It's a one-star match. It's a one-star match.
Yeah. But it worked.
It wasn't horrific in the way what we were expecting, and I think also the setup made it great. And the fact that Warrior sold it for as long as he did, I think made it better than it should have been, than we thought it would be. So, kudos to Warrior for that.
At the end of the match, Warrior goes to the stage now and grabs the King of the Ring crown. Now, this is both guys in the same match going to something that nobody else has stepped foot on the entire night.
Yeah.
What in the hell is going on?
I don't know. These guys are doing what they want to do.
Warrior was definitely doing whatever he wanted to do.
Of course.
Let's be real here.
Yeah.
He did it for fucking 20 years.
Yep.
And another Coliseum home video exclusive, we see Gorilla and, again, Doc Hendricks. They're in the back while the Doc is taping up Jake the Snake Roberts' ribs. Gorilla has a funny line here. I don't have x-ray glasses. The Doc doesn't have x-rays in front of him. We don't know how severe the injury is. But Gorilla, you wore those thick Coca-Cola style glasses. You mean to tell me they're not X-ray vision?
So 96.
What doctor did you have there? You couldn't tell. Oh, wait a minute, this guy's ribs broken. So just poke him. If he can't breathe, it's probably broken.
Yeah.
You might want to just put him through an array of tests. Am I the doctor this week? Who knows?
Good Lord.
It was also 1996 where if your ribs were broken, in almost every sport, they gave you a Band-Aid and were like, you'll be good.
Yeah, here, tape it up. You'll be all right. I can't breathe. Yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's all right. Tape it up. Robo-Tussin.
Ribs. Yeah, exactly. So we transition to a video package of the build for Mankind and The Undertaker. We see Mankind waiting for Undertaker in the casket match at In Your House 8. We see where he makes the Undertaker count out against the Bulldog by holding onto his leg underneath the ring. And then a post-match where those two guys brawl and Mankind puts the mandible claw and leaves the Undertaker pretty much unconscious. Mankind makes his way to the ring with the, I guess we're going to call it the Insane Asylum music. I'm a big fan of it.
I like the
music. But then we hear the music for the Undertaker, and nobody comes out. And then it's just Paul Bearer by himself. And at this point, you're thinking to yourself, well, where the hell is the Undertaker? Maybe he has cold feet, is what Owen Hart says. How does a dead guy have cold feet? All dead guys have cold feet. He's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck? But then the lights come on, and the Undertaker's perched on the top rope and hits a big diving clothesline on the Undertaker, or excuse me, on Mankind, to start this match. I really enjoyed this match. It was hardcore, but it wasn't. The stairs got involved. Undertaker pelted Mankind in the back with a steel chair when the referee was distracted by Paul Bearer. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this, and you try to make this quote real. At what point does a loud bang when you get hit in the back with a chair, and the referee's kind of standing there with it in in his vision, but not really in his vision? At what point does that sound like it's not a chair shot for the referee to be like, oh, what happened? Why is that guy writhing in pain and holding his back? I just didn't hear a loud bang. That was a chair. Obviously a chair.
It was a ghost. It was a ghost. Something I could come up with.
You also saw Mankind try his...
Go ahead, Joe.
testing when they interview referees. They actually make loud noises right next to them and make sure that they can't hear it. So.
Well, the chair shot that you could hear is like the tag in a tag match when you clap your own hands.
Yeah,
you're like, yeah, I made the tags. But only the heels get away with that. The faces never get away with that. I don't know why.
Because heels are nicer guys, obviously.
Mankind tries the running elbow drop that he made famous as Cactus Jack, and he gets met with a steel chair to the face by a laying in the aisle way Undertaker. At what point, does the referee call for a disqualification? Well, we used that chair in self-defense because this guy was going to hit you with a diving elbow from the ring apron, so I guess I'll allow it. Steel steps to the face, everything. They never decided that they were going to actually call for the bell, and
I'm not sure this is one of my favorite Mankind Taker matches, but it's definitely one of more. I enjoyed this match, to be honest with you. It wasn't look, it's not Hell in a Cell 98, it's not even Boiler Room, as you'll see a couple months from now and whatnot, and other matches they've had in the past. But this is actually one of the better matches they've had altogether.
Yes, I agree.
I think for me, the thing that got me the most about the match, though, and again, it was really good. I absolutely agree with you guys. But I thought there were too many ebbs and flows to it. It would get really, they'd go from 3 to 10, and then they'd come back down to 3, and they'd keep doing that. And for the style of wrestling,
I think it has to because the pain and the shots they take, they sell. I mean, they really sell a lot of hits, and they take a lot of big hits that I think you have to kind of sort of leave some space to recover to some degree. Because there's a lot of spots that they take or Mankind do a lot of spots that you need to give some room to at least recover to some degree to take more spots in the end of the match.
See, but the thing is, and I agree with Joe. It's kind of the way I feel about the tag. Is that you if you can keep the fans in it the entire time, keep the fans in it. Don't go up down up down up down up down because then it's just going to throw the ebbs and flows. It's just going to make it where the fans are just like, oh great, here's another random spot where it's going to take them 35 minutes to get to where they need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of happened a little bit in this match where, the jump and getting hit in the face with the chair. Oh, cool, good talk, glad we had it. It happened, and then we moved on from it. But the referee is literally standing right there staring at him, and they're just like, nope, not gonna happen. I'm like, wow, really, guys? This is real life. I don't know.
Real life.
That's my feeling on it.
Real life.
The finish for this match saw Mankind lock in the mandible claw and basically almost have the Undertaker rendered unconscious. Bearer using the urn to lift the Undertaker up. Undertaker looks like he's getting ready to, ram Mankind in the corner to break it when Bearer accidentally, and Owen Hart says accidentally, maybe he did it on purpose, hit the Undertaker in the head with the urn, allowing the mandible claw to be re-synced in, and Taker goes unconscious, leading to Mankind getting the win. And then you can see Mankind chasing after Paul Bearer, trying to get the urn, while the Undertaker is stumbling to get to his feet.
Good match though. Definitely a 3+
I liked the match. I enjoyed it.
And even despite some of the flaws you were mentioning on there, because they fought so much in the future, it just got better.
Correct. Yeah, agreed. We then see Doc Hendricks in the back with Mr. Perfect. In comes Shawn Michaels, basically telling Mr. Perfect that he better call it right down the middle, which Mr. Perfect insinuates that he will be the perfect referee and call it right down the middle.
Because why wouldn't he, right?
Yeah, he's absolutely perfect.
Right.
So then we get the video of Goldust trying mouth-to-mouth resuscitation for the third time in this this show, where they're talking about the lead up to Ahmed Johnson versus Goldust for the Intercontinental title. Ahmed comes flying out of the entranceway, knocking over the guys that opened the doors. That was hilarious. Because those guys, I don't know if those guys were privy to it or if they sold it really well, but he literally launched the two guys opening the door like 6 feet. It was hilarious.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, was that real? Was that something they planned? I don't know.
So he runs down and literally just destroys Goldust for like the first 3 minutes of this match. Goldust isn't able to get his robe off. He then hits a diving, I called it a tope con hilo, on Goldust in the entranceway. Ahmed Johnson, freaky athleticism for a guy his size.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And he was over at this point, so he was way over at this point.
I mean, he had
he was definitely over.
Ridiculous.
Now, earlier in the podcast, we're talking about guys, let's say hypothetically Shawn Michaels got let go by WWE or suspended by WWE for the curtain call stuff, and guys who could replace probably him as being a guy who would win a title. Ahmed Johnson, maybe a guy you could think of. I don't know, but he was over enough to consider it.
I think they could have gone in that direction. I think that we'd be sitting here now, kind of reflecting back as I can't believe Ahmed Johnson was once champion. But
I'm probably with Joe there.
Yeah, but he was so over at that point. It was kind of like the Warrior thing. He was so over that you had to at least consider it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Johnson dominates the beginning of this match. Goldust takes over the middle of the match, really wearing down Ahmed. And then he basically has Ahmed Johnson out and should be going for a pin, but no, he gives Johnson mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
I actually love this match, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you why. I love the psychology of this match.
Oh, absolutely. The psychology was the best part of this match because you knew that it was screwing with Ahmed, so Goldust kept doing it. But he gave mouth-to-mouth to Ahmed, who woke up and basically destroyed Goldust for the last 30 seconds of this match, hit the Pearl River Plunge to win his first major singles title and the Intercontinental Championship.
That's right.
I found it funny that on commentary, Jim Ross mentioned that Ahmed Johnson won the Kuwaiti title.
I heard that.
From, I guess, their tournament that they did in Kuwait that got talked about on, I think, that same episode of Grilling JR. He talked about the Kuwaiti tournament that they did. They were there for 3 or 4 nights and were like, well, let's give the fans something new or something different. So what they did was they did a tournament over that 4 nights with the winner winning the Kuwaiti championship, which Johnson won. I just thought it was interesting that they mentioned that because that's never been released on video or on the network or anything like that. So I just thought it was interesting.
And my reply was, when I heard that at the time, like, okay, well, where's the proof of that?
Yeah.
That's all. I'm not saying I don't believe you. I didn't know that. It's news to me.
Yeah, I had heard about it, but I wasn't 100% sure that they would actually mention it, and then they did on the show, and I was like, wow. Okay, then. Next up was Brian Pillman, the loose cannon, making his way towards the ring on crutches, yelling at pretty much every fan and going completely psycho.
It was awesome.
It's funny. I told Mike this a couple weeks ago. That's one guy that would have been phenomenal into the teeth of the Attitude Era. Because he died right before Attitude really started. Attitude started 97 really, but it's kind of the genesis of that. But the real teeth of it when 98, 99, 2000, Brian Pillman would have been phenomenal in that era. Yeah,
absolutely agreed. Absolutely. To me, his promo here is one of the highlights of the show.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He was one of the highlights of pro wrestling, and he wasn't even able to wrestle at the time. So
right. He was psychotic.
I loved Pillman at this point. I loved the promo, basically, attacking everybody, including even WCW to an extent, which I got a kick out of.
His hoarse voice. How you doing?
Yes. So then, as Pillman is hobbling out, Stone Cold makes his way to the ring for the finals. And I put in my notes here, as Austin gets almost to the ring, Pillman and him stop and kind of lock eyes. And you have a Hollywood Blondes flashback / holy foreshadowing.
Yeah, where's your hair?
Because of where those guys are going to go together a year or so down the road. With Pillman's got a gun and all that situation. I don't know if that was WWE's plan at this point, but if it was, and their plan was for a year later for this to be a year or two later, Pillman and Austin being a thing, then tip of the cap to those guys for seeing it. I mean, it may have been just them paying homage to the Hollywood Blondes, but that exchange where they just both kind of stared at each other, and then kind of went their separate ways was kind of like, well, I'll see you down the road.
At some point. But, yeah, it was definitely a good moment. Nice little moment, though.
So, Austin's in the ring, waiting. Jake makes his way to the ring very slowly, kind of dragging the snake bag. He doesn't even have it over his shoulder like he normally does. And Austin just attacks right away. Just right. Every move that he does is towards the ribs, kicks, punches, middle rope, elbows. Even to the point where Gorilla Monsoon comes out with the fake doctor that couldn't tell if Jake's ribs were injured or not. And Gorilla tries to get in the ring to stop the situation, and Austin is still going. I find it funny that Vince McMahon makes the comment, if he doesn't stop, Gorilla Monsoon's going to disqualify him and award Jake the Snake the king of the ring. I was just like,
no,
you want us to believe that Jake the Snake Roberts is hurt, but then that's how you say he's going to win? That's stupid.
Yes.
This match was not all that great. Obviously, if what you said is true, that Jake had really hurt himself, it's understandable. But I'm glad this match didn't go that long, though. I'm glad it was in and out.
I feel like it almost had to be an injury, because the fact of the matter is you've built up this 41-year-old, because, you said it 35 times. For him to get 3 offensive moves in the entire finals, there had to be something else wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So Austin is able to counter a DDT attempt, hits like 3 or 4 shoulder tackles in the corner, and then hits the stunner, defeating Jake the Snake Roberts to win the 1996 King of the Ring. Post-match, the real birth of Stone Cold is made. He walks up to the podium to take his rightful throne, and I'll never forget this, and I wrote it down so I can get it right. He starts attacking Jake Roberts' quote, preacher gimmick, and sits there and says, quote, you sit there and you thump your Bible and you say your prayers, and it didn't get you anywhere. Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 said, I just whooped your ass.
And there, the start of what would be arguably the biggest superstar in the history of the business.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The fact that Austin says he came up with that right before he went out for that match
makes him better.
I'm really glad he did, because if not, I wonder what that royal coronation would have been. Vince McMahon tries to cut this off, and you can see that he's trying to on commentary to move to the next thing. But then Austin says it doesn't matter who's the champion, Shawn or Bulldog, their time is coming to an end. Or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact quote on that end. But I find it funny because Austin doesn't get a title match for winning King of the Ring.
No, he does not.
But I know that was something that they said that they used to do. And then the other fitting thing, Austin leaves the stage, does not take the crown, does not take the does not sit on the throne, does not take the robe, nothing. Just goes, yeah, all right, cool, we're done, cool, and just walks away.
Yeah, I remember saying, okay, so the scepter's gone, so's the crown, but here's a robe. Fuck it.
No, the crown was still there. Warrior put it back.
Oh, right. He did put that. Right. He did do that. Right.
Yeah, but the scepter was gone. I just thought it was hilarious that Austin didn't take any of it.
Yeah, the guy actually wanted
nope, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Don't want it. So that gets us to the main event. That gets us to British Bulldog versus Shawn Michaels. Mr. Perfect comes out first to his perfect theme song.
Top 10 theme song of all time.
I would definitely say that it's a top 5 theme for me. I love his theme song.
Me too.
He comes out, Bulldog follows. He is cornered by Diana, his wife, and of course James E. Cornette, the leader of Camp Cornette. Michaels is led out by his mentor and trainer Jose Lothario. This match is getting ready to get started, and Gorilla Monsoon needs more screen time.
I love Gorilla, dude.
Yeah, it's never a bad thing. Wait.
He's my second favorite WWF president of all time.
Behind Slaughter?
Nope, James Tunney. Or
Jack Tunney?
Jack Tunney. Gotta love Jack Tunney. I love Jack Tunney. He always had so much goddamn official jargon that it just made it so much fun. So Monsoon gets his TV time and says that he said that Mr. Perfect could be an official in the match, and says that Mr. Perfect will be the official on the outside of the ring, and that senior official Earl Hebner will be the official in the ring. Obviously playing off the, Mr. Perfect getting dressed in Cornette's dressing room, along with other reasons probably. I don't hate it, but if you're building up Perfect as being the special guest referee, you should have had him at least, be the referee. I could see where you he takes a ref bump or something like that, and that causes, Hebner to have to potentially have to be in the ring. So,
which Hebner?
This match went back and forth.
Earl and Dave, just kidding. It's Earl Hebner, I know it's Earl.
Yeah. This match went back and forth for the most part to try to get control. I did put this in the notes, and I want your guys' opinion on this because it really annoyed the shit out of me.
Okay.
Stop this goddamn gold dust. It's annoying. It's
yes,
fucking
thank you.
Back.
Oh my god, yes, I was saying the same thing to myself. Yes, annoying as hell.
I'm literally watching it. I'm like, and there's shit on Bulldog's back, and Sean's back, and Ahmed Johnson's back, and John Cena's back, or Stone Cold's back. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? Stop with this goddamn gold dust.
You never forget the name of gold dust.
So bad.
I think it looked kind of cool on Bulldog's back, so I think he should have added more, actually.
Oh my god.
He needed more flair.
Need more gold!
Yeah, exactly. So, Shawn Michaels gets knocked out of the ring. Mr. Perfect starts the 10 count as the referee outside of the ring while the ref is dealing with keeping Bulldog out from getting out of the ring. That was a pretty good touch. Shawn Michaels getting locked in Bulldog's surfboard and Perfect hopping up on the ring to ask Michaels if he wanted to quit while Earl Hebner was doing the same thing. That was pretty funny. I got a kick out of both of those. I told you this, Joe, and I don't know if you saw it, Ernest. Can we stop the British Bulldog going to the top rope?
Yeah.
He attempted the worst diving headbutt I've ever seen in my life.
He's a ground game guy, man.
He missed by 6 feet.
He's a ground game guy.
He missed
by
the
ground.
6 feet.
Yeah.
So the finish for this one, ref bump after Michaels picks up Bulldog for a power slam. Michaels hits the elbow drop, tunes up the band, hits sweet chin music. Hebner and Mr. Perfect both start making the 3 count. Owen pulls Perfect out of the ring for some reason. I mean, you should have had Hebner get pulled out by Cornette to make both counts stop. But Hebner finishes the 3 count, rings the bell, Shawn Michaels retains. And then the post-match beatdown by Owen and Bulldog, where they're really wearing out HBK, which brings out Ahmed Johnson to even the odds. Johnson gets the upper hand for the faces, but then he gets wiped out by Camp Cornette member Vader, which then brings out the Ultimate Warrior to keep Vader from splashing a prone Shawn Michaels. And the show really ends with the 3 faces, Johnson, Michaels, and Ultimate Warrior, standing tall, basically leading to what we thought was going to be a 6-man tag match at the Next Day in Your House between Warrior, Johnson, and Michaels against Camp Cornette. But then the Ultimate Warrior goes rogue.
Give me my money.
Potential. Yeah. So according to sources, this one was he took off a couple house shows due to the quote death of his father. But Vince McMahon said that Warrior claimed to have not seen his father in over 10 years and didn't care much for him. Warrior disputes that claim and says that it was because of a breach of contract with McMahon, saying that he was not getting royalties based off of his merchandise. So the two of them went back and forth, and it ended up with Warrior basically just leaving the company completely, not to be seen again until, at least in WWE, until his Hall of Fame induction, his following night,
2014,
Raw.
2015,
Yep.
2014, 2014? Yeah.
2014.
By the way, the Michaels matches was amazing. I love him. Again, but he's a great worker, so I mean, good luck finding a bad match, Shawn Michaels, honestly.
I actually enjoyed that match a lot too. Not gonna lie.
Best one of the night. Really best match of the night, in my opinion.
What?
I put it at second for the night. Yeah.
I probably had it at third, but I had it in my top 3. My top 3 matches was in order. Number 1 was Steve Austin versus Mark Merrow.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 was Taker versus Mankind. Number 3 was the title match with an honorable mention to Ahmed Johnson versus Goldust.
What's yours, Joe?
Definitely Austin and Merrow at the top. That was my favorite. And then I'd probably put the main event at 2 and probably Undertaker Mankind at 3. That would be my round out.
Mm-hmm.
I have Michaels Bulldog 1, Merrow Austin 2, and honestly, I love the Goldust Ahmed Johnson match because of the psychology of it. Otherwise, I would have obviously put in Mankind and Taker, but the psychology of the Goldust match was really great.
Yeah. So that is actually the King of the Ring 1996. Big things that came out of it. Ahmed Johnson gets his first singles title run. Ultimate Warrior goes Psychopath, and the real legitimate birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
Overall, I really like the show. I would recommend anyone who has not seen it to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big ratings guy, but I mean, I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8.
I give it like a 7.5. I thought the card. I just remember the card was a lot better than I realized. Like thinking about it now in hindsight, a really good card in general.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the card.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I guess that will wrap up episode number 1 of this month in wrestling history. We're still in the month of June. So does anybody have any recommendations on what they want to watch for our next episode?
I would say King of the Ring 93 or King of the Ring 98 is definitely the 2 that's on my mind for June.
I'm okay with either of those.
All right, so I will flip a coin real quick. Heads will be King of the Ring 93. Tails will be King of the Ring 98. All right, hold on. Let me grab a quarter out of my pocket.
Quarter.
And it's in the air. And King of the Ring 1993.
Oh, boy. The end of Hulkamania. The end of Hulkamania. Bonsai.
So that will wrap up 96. We'll talk about 93 on our next episode. I know Joe had mentioned something about wanting to watch WCW's pay-per-view from 96 to kind of compare. We may hit that one up if we can get another show in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that off air between the 3 of us though.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, for my splendid co-host, first Ernest DJ Christian.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Second, don't follow him on Twitter. This is not his Twitter handle, @TheRealJosephLopez.
Yep. That is not real.
Make a Twitter, Joe.
It's not real. Make a real @TheRealJoeLopez Twitter. I am Mike Bernier. I am the host of this roundtable of doom and despair. I appreciate everybody for listening. Keep an ear out for episode number 2, King of the Ring 1993. Until then, I wish you all a safe and happy day.